Okay, so tumblers with a photograph frame in them, or multiple photograph frames. Let's try one of those. I've downloaded an image from Creative Fabrica. It should work for this example. This is a 20-ounce tumbler, but this works for all tumblers. I'm going to go to Open from Computer on Photopea, and I will go to today's tutorial, and this is my straight image tutorial. So what we have here is a PNG, and from these checkers, you can see that this area here is transparent, so you can see through to the background. This layer is labeled background, but just the first image you bring in is always known as the background. So we can rename it to the template by double-clicking on the name of it in the layers file if you want to. You might get some permission requests from Photopea the first time you use it. Just agree to them. It's a very trusted website, and it doesn't cost anything. But here, the only thing I need you to do is at the top of the screen, when the Move tool here is selected, there's this little checkbox that says Transform Controls. All that's going to do is give you the ability to size things more easily. Otherwise, if those squares aren't there, you have to, every time you want to control something, you can move it, but in order to resize it, you have to go into like the edit menu and go to transform every single time. So I just leave it on transform controls. So there we go. With the layer selected, you can see these boxes show up. And if ever you accidentally grab it and move it, you can either move it back and you'll sort of see the red line snap it into place. But anytime you mess anything up, just always remember Control and Z. Control is zebra, is undo. You can also get to it by going Edit Undo, but that'll get you back to the last thing. And hit it again, go back 2 steps, and so on and so forth. So now we have this template, we need to get pictures in here. So what I'm going to do is go up to File and go Open in Place. You can also copy and paste images in if they're on the web, but or like directly from a Facebook photo gallery or something like that. But if you've downloaded them, just go to Open in Place and point and double click on your photo, and you're going to see here it's way too big. So now this one, it actually ended up underneath my picture. If for some reason it's above like this, you need to get it underneath. You know, to try to size this picture perfectly on top of one of these, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. And then you can see how some are rotated slightly and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to deal with that. That's why these are cut out the way they are, is to frame it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag in the layers panel. I'm going to drag it underneath my template there. So now that we've got it into sort of where we can pick one of these that we want to put it underneath, and we can still, since it's selected, we can still size it. Now you can see how it's going to show up underneath too. So you got to get it out of there. If you have to edit the photograph, I can show you how to do that as well. But what we'll do is I'm going to hold down the Alt key and roll my mouse wheel to zoom in a little bit. If you don't have a mouse and a mouse wheel, you can just click this little, the bottom of on the left-hand side, the tools panel. At the very bottom is the magnifying glass, and you can click to zoom in. And then you up here at the top of the screen, you can hit the minus and click to zoom out. So it's a little more cumbersome, but it still works. Go back to my move tool at the top. To move around the picture, you can hold down the space bar and drag with the mouse. You can click and hold, or your touchpad, whatever. On mobile, we're just using your fingers like normal. And then there's a tool, there's a hand tool here you can use to click and move around. So if you don't have a mouse, you're going to be using this toolbar a little bit more, but it's all pretty cut and dry. So anyway, so now we get this picture. I'm going to kind of get it to a place. This one's a pretty easy one, so we could even make it a little smaller. You just don't want to make it so small that, there's background showing. But you can zoom it in, and then if you wanted to rotate a little bit, if you hover your mouse right at the edges of this box, you'll see it turn into curved arrows. And you can just click and hold and sort of rotate those around. So if you wanted that look, you can. Okay, so that's that layer done. If you want, you can go with that layer selected and click this little lock button here. So that way that was locked into place, and it won't allow you to accidentally select that one anymore. Now, for some reason, this picture was too big, and like you see how that little bit is showing down there at the bottom of this other one. You can either put a photograph over top of that one, which you'll see in a little bit. That, that's a possibility. Or you can, we can mask out. There's ways to do it. You can mask out a little bit of that photo by clicking this mask button at the bottom, and we could take a brush and set the color to black. And with this mask over here, it's like we could paint out. So it's not actually editing the photograph, but we could paint it out like that if we wanted to, just to get rid of it. Similar to erasing, except it's not really gone. It's just hidden underneath there. So that's a little more advanced, but you really could just, I'll show you. Once you go to File and Place, Open in Place, we're going to go to Family Photo number 2, and so that one showed up down here. These are all varying quality. I just got them off of I just Googled family photographs and copying, saved a few images. So now you see this one is on top of, or below family 1. So this one, if we moved it, I'm going to go and unlock it again. You see, if I move it down, it's going to show up. It's going to show up over top of that one, even though we messed that part up. So that's the problem with, not doing the mask. If I need to get that one above it, all I simply need to do is just drag family 2, the second picture I put down, over family 1, like that, so that it's just covering up that little edge there. And you can just continue to stack them that way. So just think of your layers as literally like a stack of papers. So there's blank underneath. You've got a family photograph, and then your template, like a window sitting on top. And so we're just going to keep piling photographs underneath. And so say that one looks good, we'll be fine with that one. We could lock that one in place as well. I unlocked this one earlier, but I can lock it again. And then we'll just continue. We'll go to Open Place. It should be getting the idea of what I'm doing now. Here's a couple picture, which is really big. You can see this one's more of a big giant portrait, so it's going to need to be scaled down a lot. And you're going to see it's going to stick out in some areas. Sometimes you'll get a photograph that's not going to work because it's so skinny or something like that, or it's not going to fit into these frames. And what you can do is you can make your best effort in there. Sometimes they just don't work. If they don't, there's more advanced features. If I move this to the front, you'll see I can go to, I'm going to right click this layer and rasterize it, so it'll let me edit. And then I'm going to go over the left and hit the magic wand, hit select subject, and see if it does a decent job. It did an okay job. And so then I can, with that subject selected, I can go hit the mask button, and it should take out the background of those guys. So it's okay, you know what I mean? But now what I'd need to do would be to put some sort of background back there. So I would have to go to my rectangle tool here, set a color to say maybe it's light blue if we like it, and draw a square. And then what I would do is put that square back behind my template, and then take this photograph and put it just behind the template. And oops, hit Control Z. I'm going to lock my template in place just so I can't mess with it again. Probably should have done that in the beginning. And I'll take that blue squares there, and then this couple that I had is there now. So I can frame it a little bit smaller and still have a background behind it, because see, if there was no blue background back behind there, we'd see the edges of the photograph and stuff. So that's a little more advanced, and sorry if that started to confuse you, but for most photographs, it'll work pretty well to just keep piling them on top of each other. So I like this one and this one. So I'm going to call that one a group in case I need to move those around. I'm going to click on the couple, and I'm going to hold down Shift and click on that blue shape that I made. And down here, I'll click this little folder icon to put them in a group. So that's like a folder. And so that's them. And I'm going to click and lock them in place. But if I wanted to, I can move them as a group, the background and the picture together. Well, right now it's trying to take both of them at the same time. And that reason that's doing that is because I have the settings wrong here. If you go up here on your move tool, you'll see auto select layer. I want to say auto select folder. And then that way, when I click on this, it's going to do the whole folder instead of just the single layer that I clicked on. And if I were to click on the people, it probably would have selected the people and not the background, but I clicked sort of on the blue, so that was the background. So if I wanted to go here and I wanted to keep that framing, you can see how it's getting pretty tough. I could just go and make the that blue square a little bigger. So you can make your own backgrounds, but anyways, I think it looks nice in most of these, but that one's pretty cute. So leave it there. And then I'll lock that folder again. And the only other thing about these layers thing, if you get a little confused, you can click this little eyeball here, and that'll show you what layer you're working on, sort of. You can see these, of course, you see the square as well. And then let's just do one more, open in place, and couple number 2. And this one's pretty good. You can see that it's in front. Looks like it ended up in that folder, maybe. Yeah, it did. So I'm going to drag it out of that folder. Okay. Anyways, that whole debacle kind of messed us up there. So with this one, you see how it's sort of spilling into that one. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And then just, since his head is sort of, just take a little bit into that frame. That looks nice. So you just keep going with your other photographs. You know, if you had, this one got moved somehow. That was family 1. Move it up a little bit. There we go. And so that looks pretty good. And if you needed, like, say you wanted to use a copy, like another version of this or something for some reason, you could, there's a right click and you can duplicate that layer, and then you can just drag it to another area. And this is another one of those that doesn't frame very well in a heart, but you just have to work with them, you know. Just, you have to choose appropriate photos that are not great for every single frame that you're going to get. But that's the gist of it. Sorry, I took a little, kind of a long way around on a little bit of that, but we can touch on some of the other more advanced stuff later. Be better if any questions, let me know, and I'll address those in a follow-up video. So you guys take care of yourselves, and yeah, don't be a stranger.